Hey people, how you doing? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever I posted you, how are you? Beautiful day today in the UK. Look at that. So tonight for me, last night of the 35 night sleep study, which is pretty exciting. I've been reflecting all week really, because obviously now's the last week and it suddenly becomes countable when you've got 7 days left. And also because in theory now on Sunday I can actually have a coffee again. Do I have a coffee again? That was my idea. That was I interviewed Dr. Amy Bender a few months ago now on the Sports Therapy Association podcast about sleep, and it's a subject that's always fascinated me, and there's details about it on runchatlive.com. I've got a couple of blogs there. I'll do another one probably this weekend to update it all. And yeah, it's an amazing topic, and then I've bought a couple of books. I've been swatting up on it, doing overtime, and it's the kind of unknown epidemic, without putting too much of a clickbait tagline on it. It really is responsible for so much more of the dis-ease in society that we see than has been recognised by the healthcare system, full stop, including Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, anxiety, depression, all sorts of things. So yeah, I decided, right, I want to do a sleep study. Will you send me the gear? And Cerebra were fantastically kind enough after a few Zoom meetings to say, yeah, this sounds cool. What do you want to do? 3 weeks or something? 21 days? I was like, no way. Dr. Amy Bender did something like 4 weeks, so obviously a bit competitive. I've got to do 5 weeks. So as well as thinking I'll do 5 weeks of going to sleep with the equivalent of a head lantern, running head lantern on my forehead and electrodes attached to 4 different places, 6 different places, 8 different places, then I decided as well to cut caffeine out in week 3 of the study. So week 2 of the study. So the idea was I had 1 week of filling myself with my normal copious amounts of caffeine, which is how historically I've got through the fact that I am I do suffer from chronic sleep loss of quality. I had done all my life. It's just because of my own kind of personal chronotype. I'm an owl. So all of my life getting up early in the morning for work, which I haven't actually done, but the times I have had to do it, and particularly with kids, that's really kind of played up with my own circadian rhythm and chronotype, and it's just, yeah, so I've got by with coffee, because coffee masks the gradual build-up of sleep. It literally covers the receptors in the brain which normally are covered by the adenosine, as in adenosine triphosphate. That chemical is responsible for the build-up during the day of making you tired. And the more you're awake, the more tired you get. It's amazing. It's how you get tired. One of the systems, anyway. Drink caffeine and it masks those receptors, so the adenosine can't do its thing. But of course, when the caffeine wears off, then it kicks in. And you get all sorts of disruption to your sleep and quality and all that stuff. So anyway, I've had 4 weeks of no coffee now. Yeah, and what have I seen? Oh man, it's been tricky. Well, no, okay, let's start off with what I think. I mean, the main thing is the joy of the sleep study is the electrodes, and the polysomnogram is measuring your stages of sleep. Okay, so in a brief layman's terms, the waves of activity in your brain are different when you're in REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement, which is in that stage the waves are pretty much the same as when you are awake. They're very rapid, short, and they'll show up on a graph like that, so that's how they can tell you're in your REM sleep. And then the non-REM sleep, which are 3 other stages, which include the deep sleep, the waves suddenly go to this kind of deep, long waves, which are far less aggressive. And within those you can see all sorts of data, things that are happening, which thanks to kind of studies have kind of shown the potential effects of the different stages of sleep to do with recovery mentally, physically, and all sorts of things. Plus the reason we dream, and the effects of taking REM out, the effects of taking non-REM out, the effects of having long periods with no sleep, how the body tries to catch up. Does it stick more REM in first? Does it stick more NREM in first? It's It's absolutely incredible. And you know what? The more I talk about it, the more I think about it. I'm gonna have to make changes. I think there'll be positive changes. So the first one is going to sleep. I mean, for me, going to sleep, I always laughed when people told me when they close their eyes to go to sleep, they kind of see nothing, and then they drift off to sleep within 5 minutes. That's how it's kind of supposed to be. You're supposed to get to sleep within 5 minutes. If you go to sleep quicker than 5 minutes, like in the first 30 seconds, that's not necessarily a sign of, wow, you really are an efficient sleeper. It's a sign that you were overtired, and there's something going on. You haven't got regular sleep quality. It should take kind of between, I think, anything up to about 5 minutes to fall asleep. Not me, you know. I close my eyes and I've got monkeys playing cymbals and kind of elephants on tiptoe dancing around, and closing my eyes was a nightmare. I would see about 25 different multi-universes going on in my head. So, and that was because normally I'm trying to close my eyes at the wrong time with my chronotype, with my natural time when my body gets tired and the melatonin kicks in and all that sort of stuff, which, so it's normal up to a certain extent, but it's accentuated by things like caffeine. So taking the caffeine out has definitely made it easier for me to fall asleep within 5 minutes, and I'm hoping that the sleep study shows this. In the week where I didn't have, where I was having caffeine, I'm pretty sure the sleep study, when they're interpreting in Canada in Cerebra.health, when they're looking at my brain waves of trying to get to sleep, I think it'll be pretty hilarious. I'm pretty sure it'll stay pretty active and avoid going into the NREM. I don't know for how long for, but I'm pretty confident that will show up. Taking caffeine out of the equation takes a couple of weeks for caffeine to leave the system, which is why I took it out for 4 weeks. And yeah, you know what? Closing my eyes, it's a different state. So that's positive. That's something I'm going to take out of it. And the other thing, which I mean, I've done everything I can to keep everything else equal, which you have to do in a study. So I've been doing 3-5Ks a week rather than doing a little bit more, a little bit less. And they've all been at regular tempo, not very exciting, but well, kind of nice in a way, because I'm not competing with myself at all. I'm just plodding along. And what else? I've been trying to eat naturally. I've been trying to minimize the intake of stimulants such as wine and the odd kind of gin and tonic. Sometimes I've been known to have it. That's all I can grab and I need it. The kids are driving me mad. They've got little cans in the fridge which I just grab and down. That sort of thing. You know what it's like if you've got kids. So yeah, I've been trying to minimize everything. So the other thing I've noticed from taking caffeine out is I actually only realized this morning when I was thinking about it. I haven't been waking up after 2 hours of going to sleep, of finally falling asleep about 11:30 or 12, which is my natural time to go to sleep. I haven't woken up at 2 or 3 o'clock with the characteristic eyes open, massively active brain. If you go back to the first week of my chats of these lives, then I described what I can't remember who it was now. I think it was Tristan Attenborough described as the carousel. And that's what it is. It's like literally you just wake up and you've got those carousels going around. You've got fairgrounds going around. Often there was repetitive dreams, and to the extent that you get really anxious. And I've said, like, put in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, because you don't know whether you're asleep or awake anymore. You're trying to sleep, but you're having this really vivid lucid dream where you know you're trying to stop dreaming. But you're kind of dreaming that you're trying to stop dreaming, and then you dream you're awake, and it's just really pretty nasty. So, and of course it's just not a quality night's sleep, which is why pretty much all my life I've woken up unrefreshed. I can honestly say I don't really know what it's like. If anyone does wake up and just goes, you know, like in the films, you wake up all rosy, fully made up, and just think, oh, that was a lovely night's sleep, I'm ready to grab the day. That's never happened to me. Sod that, never. You know, the first 5 minutes of waking up are like opening the coffin of Dracula in broad daylight. You know, my eyes can't handle the light. No one should really talk to me for about 7 minutes, because what comes out of my mouth I'm not responsible for. Once I've had a shower, seen some light, broken in gently, then I'm fine. Then I can work, and I think so far I've got to this stage in my life without killing anyone, I think. Well, there's a couple of times I'm not quite sure, I never saw them again, but yeah, it's so taking the caffeine out has ended these kind of episodes, dare I say, touch wood. So that's a real benefit. I'm just hoping that it shows changes in activity on these in this sleep study on the waves. Maybe I am slipping into NREM quicker within those 5 minutes. What else have I noticed? You know what, it's been tricky. Anything more than that, I'm hesitant to say, and it's because of the half term with the kids got in the way. I know, if you've got little kids, 6 and 4, half term just destroys any form of consistency of life. Work provides consistency, doesn't it? I think work is pretty healthy because it just gives you structure, and it gives you an organised life, whereas half term is just finding things to do to try and get through it, you know. I'm sure everyone loves the kids to bits, but it's just shocking. You either worrying about them falling over when they're scooting, and then they do fall over, and you're worrying about if you have to go to IT. Geez, I'm thinking about work already. You're worrying if you have to go to hospital, or you're listening to them arguing, or you're trying to do this, or, you know, it's just a nightmare. So half term kind of mucks it up a little bit. Plus 2 of my family got COVID, and the rest of my family, including me, had bad colds, all this stuff that's going around. So that obviously screwed everything up and chucked a few other variables into the mix. So yeah, that half-term week kind of, I had to start drinking a glass of wine in the evening again. I was trying not to have alcohol in the evenings, but when you got kids and you got illness and you got half-term and it gets to that 7 o'clock in the evening, and you know, you just, I don't know about you, but I need that, Jesus. So I don't know how much that changed things or put in different factors, because we know alcohol again is a stimulant and it can affect sleep quality. Yeah, but anyway, it's going to be fascinating. So to round this up, all of this sort of stuff we'll be talking about for a whole month, dun dun dun, which I just can't wait for. On the Sports Therapy Association live recording on video of our podcast in April, we're going to have 4 internationally renowned experts from the field of sleep research, which will culminate on the last Tuesday night of April at 8 o'clock as always, UK time. Will culminate with me chatting with Dr. Amy Bender, who's the Clinical Director of Sleep at Cerebra, about the results of my study, you know, which I can't wait. Over that month, it's going to be a real eye-opener for anybody who isn't familiar with what we know about sleep now, the implications of poor sleep quality, the extent to which wearable trackables, you know, like Fitbit and that sort of stuff, can really tell you about sleep compared to what I've been wearing, the Polysomnogram in home kit or a laboratory system. It's going to be really interesting, and it could also really help and affect people's lives, of people who do suffer from sleep issues, which has been surprisingly high. Well, surprisingly in the sense that, you know, I'm very grateful for people who have emailed me and left comments, but not surprising because I can't remember what the statistics showed. Amy did mention to me, but the proportion of, you know, populations who are suffering from sleep disorders is disgracefully high. As a rule, if you're waking up more than 2 times or 3 times a night, then the chances are you've got some kind of sleep disorder. And that's not to start catastrophizing, but yeah, you might get up for 1 wee or something, okay? That's pretty normal, especially if you start getting older. But if you're getting up 3 or 4 times and just putting up with it, and your life is based on those 4 interruptions, then your sleep quality is crap, even if you're getting 7 hours or something, or 8 hours. And there's implications for it. Your quality of life will go down. And as you get older, it's natural to kind of sleep to get a little bit more tricky, but it's not because you're getting older, it's more to do with your circadian rhythm shifting. Older people are trying to go to bed later like they normally do, and having dinner about 7:30, and then having problems because really they need to be having dinner at 5:30 or something. So there's loads of stuff. So I encourage you to come join us in April on the Sports Therapy Association podcast, and every Tuesday night in April, and it's going to be fascinating, if I say so myself. If you can't join us live, then that's no worries. just download the podcast, which I try and put up a couple of days afterwards. So normally every Thursday there's normally a new episode of the Sports Therapy Association podcast, including the last Tuesday, which was fantastic hour spent with Dr. Peter Malliaras talking about rehabilitation for tendinopathies. Dr. Peter Malliaras from Melbourne, Australia, is coming over to the UK shortly. He's got 4-5 locations in March where he's delivering his Mastering Lower Limb Tendinopathy 5th edition. So if you are a soft tissue therapist looking to brush up your skills of working with clients who have got tendinopathy issues, then it's a great opportunity. Peter's is an incredible educator, really nice bloke, and just a classic example of a researcher but still dipping into clinical practice, and a great educator. Putting those three things together is really tricky, and they're the kind of guests I try and bring on the show, because there's, it's tricky to have those three qualities, and that's what you really need if you're going to see somebody on a course. It really helps. Anyway, there we go. That's all downloadable as a podcast on your favourite podcast player. Right, it's the weekend. I'm not working this weekend, I don't think, so I'm off home. If you have got any comments, and leave them in the comments below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. Really keen still to build up some questions for my guests on the Sports Therapy Association podcast. So yeah, I've got a few. If in the comments, I'll get back to you. If it wants to be private, then email me, matt@runchatlive.com. And whilst you're at runchatlive.com, there's a contact form there if you want to use that. But have a little look around. I've tarted it up a little bit, changed some things. Looking pretty good now, if I say so myself. So just a little shout out to people who are watching. I see Liz Bailey's just flashed up. Hi Liz, hope you're well. Patrick Dargan, thanks for having a little listen. John Grinwood, Cara Gregory, hope you're well. Denise Thomas, Jojo Baber, how are you? Hope you're well. Nick Mooney, lovely you're thinking all these people are joining in just to say hello. So yeah, hope you're all well anyway, and thanks for clicking on the button when you saw my name flash up. And if any of this strikes a chord with you, then leave something in the comments, or email me, matt@runchatlive.com. Calm. Right, take care. Have a lovely weekend wherever you are. Bye-bye.